Cave Story revolutionized the indie world. The original Cave Story is a free game released in 2004 that's still incredibly creative to this day. It's a 2D platformer and shooter where you explore multiple levels in an interconnected world. It's also clearly inspired by Metroid. This game has aged so well and still plays so fun. But it also has some of the weirdest design choices I have ever encountered. Sometimes this game makes no sense, and I cannot wrap my head around some of the decisions that were made in development. But, let me be clear, if I had a top 10 tier list, Cave Story would be there somewhere. It has an intriguing story, addictive combat, and some of the best soundtracks of all time. It was so popular that it has a purchasable WiiWare version, a remaster, and a 3DS version, which was how I was first introduced to Cave Story. You play as, quote, an amnesiac robot killing machine. But you know not to kill the Mimigas because they're cute. But you can kill these adorable things called critters because being cute doesn't mean you're innocent. Actually, you also shoot the crap out of Mimigas on more than one occasion. Maybe quote actually is a killing machine.
Well, please don't kill me, I'm cute.
That was weird.
What separates Cave Story from the rest is its upgrade system. Upon death, enemies drop health, ammo, or experience points. Instead of the character directly leveling up, the experience goes to the weapon you're holding. Leveling up a weapon buffs and changes its characteristics. Having your weapon's power change mid-combat adds a dynamic effect to gameplay. Your first weapon, the Polar Star, simply upgrades in power and size. Fun fact, this weapon appears in Enter the Gungeon, one of my favorite games. It even has similar mechanics. Speaking of weapons, there are many different weapons that allow for a wide variety of gameplay. There's the Bubbline, which is pretty crap at low level.
Take that!
But when it levels up, it forms a protective shield around you and allows for defensive approaches. The Missile Launcher, which also takes heavy inspiration from Metroid, is powerful but has limited ammo, dropped from defeating enemies. There's the Fireball, which is handy for slopes, and you can also run behind them while using other weapons. And there are quite a lot of secret weapons that you can either find or trade with existing weapons. The supposed strongest gun, the Spur, is a secret upgraded Polar Star that you can charge to fire laser beams.
Now let's see how well you fare against my Biden blast!
If you have a leveled up weapon and a weaker one, you can kill an enemy with the stronger weapon, switch weapons, and then collect the experience, like the old Pokemon games. Taking damage makes you lose experience for your held weapon, and you can level down if you take too many hits. This discourages the player from blindly running through enemies. The arsenal of weapons and the level up system create a unique feel of gameplay that remains fresh to this day. A cute feature I really like is how the game shows how much damage you deal when you hit an enemy. If you strike an enemy multiple times at once, it waits till the end of your attacks to show your total damage. Not only does this reduce on-screen clutter, but it also gives a satisfying feeling that you just did a big combo. It's not Cave Story without a story, and Cave Story's got one way better than it needs to be. It utilizes the clever strategy of making you quickly invested in the story by showing you cute bunnies and then abusing them.
That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
The story takes place on a floating island where the Doctor wants to enslave the Mimiga population by making them eat red flowers, which turn them berserk. You slowly learn about your past as well as the islands, meet others like you, and optionally, save the world. The game makes great use of the cast of characters. My favorite is Santa. Instead of constantly throwing new characters at you to remember, you instead beat the same people over and over in your journey and develop a connection with them. It also helps establish that the world is interconnected. Balrog, the bar of soap monster, is a recurring boss where you over time learn that he's actually a pretty nice guy. Some of these characters inevitably die, and these deaths actually do weigh on you. They happen suddenly and quickly, and you don't really get any time to dwell on them, kind of showing how easy it is to snuff out a life. Though it's kinda weird how you can just slaughter an entire population of cockroach creatures when they're fully capable of conversation. And we can't talk about the story without the music. The entire OST is just a straight up bop. My favorite soundtrack, Grasstown, has this great feeling of adventure and wonder, which is fitting since this is just before you learn about how effed up this place is. There's this old woman where you have to do some dog fetching for her, and you hear this tune. Then later, when you fall in the labyrinth, you hear this bopped up version. This song, Geothermal, plays in this underwater system where your dear companion is either dead or dying. In either way, you have to keep trudging along and survive. That's all the songs I'm gonna mention, but trust me when I say that all of them slap. Alright, I freaking love this game, but man does it have some messed up ideas. One of the earlier levels, Grasstown, has this giant jellyfish that drops jellyfish juice. You are required to kill and collect this item at least 3 times, and up to 4 if you want to unlock a gun. And you can only hold 1 at a time in the original version. And you have to constantly go back and forth in the same level, dumping or giving jellyfish juice in fireplaces or robots. Grasstown is just a giant fetch quest. The immediate next level, the Sand Zone, is also a fetch quest level, where you have to go back and forth in the same level to find dogs, which you also can only carry 1 at a time, back to old lady Jenka. If you happen to miss one of these power blocks, you're gonna be stuck here for a long time. I don't know why they put these levels back to back, but it gets worse. Cave Story has 3 endings, a good, neutral, and bad ending. The neutral and bad ending are fairly straightforward and easy to get, but the requirements to get the good ending are absolutely ridiculous to find without the aid of a walkthrough. At a certain point of the game, this happens. That was Professor Booster, a man you should be acquainted with at this time. So of course, naturally, you go down here and help this poor guy. He gives you a jetpack before passing away. Now you can access the other side of this ravine.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here.
If you save after this point, congrats, you can never get the good ending now. What you're supposed to do here is make this ridiculously difficult jump over to the other side in 1 try. If you jump too low, you won't make it. Jump too high and you'll bonk. Yahoo! This is one of the most counterintuitive game interactions I have ever experienced in my life. You're supposed to ignore the falling, dying old man who gives you a jetpack to help you make what appears to be an impossible jump, and instead, make the impossible jump. If you don't make it, you have to reset to your last save. Later in the game, after you beat a boss, the room you're in floods and you drown. Curly, your companion, sacrifices herself by giving you her air tank. If you have chosen to ignore the professor, you'll find a rope on the ground and can tie her to your back. And whoops, she's dead. You have exactly 1 chance to time this jump while the current is pushing you to make it to this door. If you don't do this, you do not get another chance and you have to reset your save. Making it to this cabin allows you to drain the water out of Curly and save her. After a shark boss fight, you separate from her and get lost in the gutter. You meet up with Professor Booster, who survived the fall from earlier. So if you try to rescue him, he dies, but if you leave him to rot, he's fine?
And you're supposed to be dead. I got better?
He gives you a better jetpack than if you tried to save him from earlier. A reward for being a jerk, I guess. We're the good guys. Much later, in the area called the Plantation, you'll find Curly in a bed with amnesia. The dude next to her talks about how there exists a mushroom somewhere that can regain her memory. Where is this mushroom?
I don't know.
I hope you remember that little graveyard with mushrooms in it at the beginning of the game, because if you don't, you're going to be searching for a long time. Here's Mr. Ma Pignon. After answering the world's dumbest quiz show, you'll be granted the mushroom badge. This does nothing. If you go back to Curly, nothing happens. You're supposed to look into your inventory and read the description of the mushroom badge, and then talk to Ma Pignon again. And then beat the crap out of him and kidnap him? We're the good guys. Once you shove him in Curly's mouth, do you finally have all the requirements to get the good ending. But there's still work to be done. The final cave before the final boss becomes harder if you have the upgraded jetpack. This might just be me, but I hate the level design in this cave. It felt like it was specifically designed to piss me off. The beginning section here has a tiny design choice that drives me crazy. Take a look at this red critter here. You would think that the critter would fall right in front of you, here, to keep you from jumping out of the water, based on the placement of the critter, the wall to stop its momentum, and how intuitively the player wants to observe the enemies before encroaching their territory. Instead, this f***er jumps directly on your face. When you hit a wall, you lose all momentum. But this guy ignores the law of conservation of energy and keeps moving after it hits the wall. Actually, all the critters here are super annoying. They jump scare you out of lava, jump out of the ceiling, and just try to annoy you in this strict platformer level. You have to navigate through tight spaces and fight your own momentum to avoid losing health. It's tough as nails. Once you beat this, and then fight 3 bosses back to back with no chance to heal or save, do you finally get the chance to attempt the good ending by tackling the Bloodstained Sanctuary.
Ready? Go!
You can only play this level if you've done all the previous requirements, and it's filled with falling blocks, flying enemies, and instant kill spikes.
You died! You suck at this game!
It's a cruel, ruthless level, fitting for a secret final level. Beating this and the true final boss will finally give you the best ending, and honestly, it's worth it. Despite how unfair and hard it is, the amount of control you have of your character and weapons makes it possible and rewarding to beat. Cave Story is a troll game, disguised as a masterpiece. I don't actually think it's a troll game, but it has tons of the qualifications to be one. The counterintuitive design, deliberate divergence, and constant running back and forth really just beg me to hate this game. But I still adore this game. It's so much fun to play that I'll forgive it if it committed a war crime. Remember, my first experience with Cave Story was the 3DS version, and that sucked compared to the others. But I still loved it. Absolutely play Cave Story if you haven't yet. Just do yourself a favor and have a walkthrough open. Like and subscribe if you like this type of junk, and I'll see you next time.